Rich rising, y'all. Rich rising. Rich rising. Rich rising, y'all. Thank you for liking the live. I appreciate it. List is open if you do want a personal. Link is in the bio. Hey. But yeah, like I was saying in regards to Pluto, that introspection, it's starting to pretty much, tell you like, whatever you was reflecting on, now it's time for me to see it type of energy. So it's like, yeah, it's heavy. Like this week has been heavy for sure. I've been having headaches all this week too. So I definitely feel the energy. Especially like coming into Scorpio season also as well. So it's like Libra season is usually a heavy like energy also because a lot of truth comes out a lot. And then we go into Scorpio season, which is the transformation, which Pluto rules, that house. So it's going to be a lot going on. And we're still in Saturn retrograde also, and then Saturn goes direct in November, so it's just a lot of transformation energy that plus in the 9th year, so it's just meant for everything to be destructive right now. So heavy year for a lot of folks. Heavy year. But when you kind of just go with the flow and go with where you're being headed and guided towards, it makes it a little bit easier. When you aren't necessarily going with the flow and going where you're supposed to be going, it creates a lot of imbalance and a lot of issues. So yeah. All right, let's see what's going on in the energy. $10 off my readings for the month of October. The live reading is not $10 off, okay? Just so you guys know. Or the cosmic chat, that is excluded also with the special. But if you do want a live reading, the list is open. There is nobody currently on the list. Link is in the bio if you want to do that. But I'm going to go ahead and go get started with the collective here shortly. I'm going to let a few other people flow in here. But yeah. What are you guys' plans this Saturday? You guys doing anything today? Thank you for liking the live. Resting, exactly. Exactly. That's what I definitely have been feeling called to do, is just to rest all this week. You're hosting a Halloween party? Ooh, that sounds so fun. I was going to go to a Halloween party yesterday, but I just felt the need to kind of rest. Car issues, so I hope somebody come by the rescue today. Ooh, girl. Sorry to hear about that. It's a girls' night. Ashe. What are you dressing up as? I don't really like to celebrate like any of the holiday things, but I like Halloween season, and I like Valentine's Day. I just like the stuff. Like, I don't know, I just like the decoration and everything of like Valentine's Day, like the pinks and the reds, like just the love is just, that's just what I like. Christmas used to be one of like my favorites also as well, but I don't really celebrate them too much anymore. I do it for the kids though. Ninda kind of Poison Ivy, yeah, Poison Ivy. I actually am going to be wearing that soon also. I made a costume of Poison Ivy. I need to do like a headpiece though this time, but yeah, I love a Poison Ivy. Alright, let's see. What is going on in the energy right now? What's the most urgent messages that the collective needs to know at this time? They're showing me like a caution sign. Some of you may need to be cautious of something at this time. Thank you for the heart meme. How did I get into tarot? I just felt really called to do it. Like, I started by, well, when I first had downloaded, I got like this weird download to download TikTok like a couple years ago. And I was like, I did it to start my like makeup business and to start showcasing my makeup business. And then I came across this woman named Kim Arts. And I had prayed for my spiritual, team to send me a spiritual teacher, someone who I can trust, someone who is more seasoned. And so when I energetically aligned with Kim, she was a tarot reader, but I wasn't really into tarot because I was kind of afraid of tarot, because before I went into my spirituality, I was a Christian. So, I was kind of scared of tarot and everything. And, until I started learning so many things on TikTok, of teachings, and people are, it was way different like a couple years ago. Like there was so many teachers on here, but it's like you barely see it anymore. But yeah, so I started watching Kim Arts and she was teaching a lot and everything just kind of all started aligning. So I decided to get a reading from her because I kept feeling really pulled and drawn to her by her Egyptian background and stuff. So, so I went ahead and got a reading from her, and then pretty much it all started making sense. And so when I got that reading, I tapped in more to my gifts and everything. And then I got another reading from another reader. I got a reading from a couple different readers at that time. Just to kind of make sure, because I was like, I was a little skeptical. So it's like certain people that I was getting drawn to, I got these readings from, and it's like it all started making sense to where like every single last one of them was hitting every single point that I needed, and it all kind of just aligned. So I was like, okay, this is something that I need to know. And then at one point I got a a mentor. So I got like a spiritual mentor, and that was like for a couple of months, and then I kind of outgrew that situation, and it kind of just went kind of left anyways, to where I just wasn't really feeling the energy anymore. And then, so within those readings, I got a reading that I was a high priestess in a past life. And so this is what I did in a past life, is I was a reader, or, a mystic. So I had got called before I got that reading. I was like, I should get a deck, because something told me to get a deck. And so right when I got that deck and I got that reading the next day, she told me, like, you're supposed to be doing readings, or you're supposed to be teaching. And, cause you was a high priestess, or I see you as a high priestess. And so I was like, that's so crazy, because I got like a deck the other day. And she was like, yeah, that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. So that's pretty much all what it was. And then just deeper and deeper into, my spiritual journey, I just realized so much of, I've been a healer. I just never needed the cards, but the cards was drawn to me. So it's like, at first it wasn't drawn to me, because I had a friend at one point in time that was into tarot also. And I was like, no, you are not about to give me no reading or anything like that. So it's like, you got to really feel drawn to it. Like, you got to feel called to do it. You got to feel, and trust the reader too, because not everybody should be reading your energy or tapping into your energy. And, so it's like, when you first kind of get to knowing more about it, you may make those mistakes, because I did, because sometimes you just kind of feel like you want the answers, but you got to really pay attention to somebody, for some time. Like, I watched that Kim Arts, I watched her for like a good couple of months before I decided to get a reading, because I had to make sure that I trusted her within my spirit. So it's like, when you really call upon your spirit team, or, most high divine source, you will feel that, you'll feel it in your heart. Like, you'll feel literally drawn to that person. And the reason why I was so drawn to her is because she was part of my past life. So it's like, when we reincarnate here on earth, we energetically align with people we had a past life with, or experienced something in a past life, or we may experience the same, because I was drawing to a lot of people that had the same spiritual team, in a sense. So say, for instance, Archangel Michael. So I work with Archangel Michael strongly. He was around from the beginning. So he was sending me certain people that he works with also. And, also, like I said, Egyptian background with Kim. So Kim was, like a soul family. So it's like, she was meant to be my starter, my start point. So it's like, sometimes we encounter each other because someone's supposed to spark that, that spiritual journey within you. And that's who I am. So I'm also someone who sparks people's spiritual journey. I'm an enlightener. So I enlighten people. So it's like, it just all depends. Like, and that's why you can tell, like, over time, I could tell, you have certain readers that they're kind of justice readers. So it's like, say, for instance, like Tori's a justice reader. She's a Libra. So, she reads a lot of karmic energy or karma energy, or just justice, in a sense, to where she brings truth. She brings the light. She brings like the truth of the things that are being, that need to be exposed. Then you have love readers. And so most of the time, love readers are, usually water signs. They're usually like Cancer or Scorpio, say, for instance, Tiffany. And Tiffany Fields is a love reader a lot. She's a Cancer. And then you got Magica, she's a Scorpio. She's a love reader also, in a sense. So, and then you got Kim Arts, who was the one that I came across that was my teacher. She was, she's a Taurus. So, Taurus is the Hierophant in the deck. So that's the teacher. So she's a teacher. She teaches a lot when she does her readings. She doesn't necessarily she does karmic readings also as well, to where she reads on justice. But she's a teacher when she teaches. Okay. So it's like, you see some readers who don't necessarily teach you. Okay. That's because that just may be their area, to where they're not necessarily full on teachers. But like I said, there's just different types of readers. There's different types of categories. So it's like me, I'm an Aquarius. So I touch on everything, and then like knowing what my spiritual rank is, in the spiritual realm. So it's like I touch on judgment, karma, bringing truth to the light. Aquarius says we bring truth, and also I'm a teacher also as well, so I teach as well. And I talk on, love also as well. So it's like I do pretty much everything because I'm a humanitarian. So it's like I'm meant to kind of touch on everything. So that's why I touch on everything when I'm on here. But yeah, that's pretty much how it all got started for my journey. See what y'all are saying. The synchronicities are synchronizing. I was told I was supposed to be a spiritual healer, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Honestly, just tapping into tap into your healing, tap into your shadow work. Because I didn't tap into tarot until I did healing work. So it's like spirit took me through a whole journey before I even got into tarot. That's the problem with certain people, is they just jump into tarot because it's gifts. You hear about your gifts and it's like, oh, I want to do my gifts and everything. But it's like you have to tap into your healing first. So it's like before I even got into tarot, it was like 2020-ish, like spirit led me to go, to therapy. So I ended up getting therapy done. And I did therapy for like a good 2.5, 3 years. So it's like you have to tap into that shadow version of yourself, or else it could kind of spill out, or you may attract more darker entities when you tap into, divination. So you want to make sure that you kind of are in your lighthearted, light body energy before you start tapping into divination. This is why I talk about this a lot, because sometimes, just because someone will tell you that you're supposed to do something doesn't mean that it's the time for you to do it. It's like, you got to really feel, you got to be solidified within yourself, and it doesn't mean that you got to be completely perfect or anything like that, because I'm still learning. When I picked up tarot, I did not know the full cards. I still to this day don't know a lot of some of the meanings in the cards. I read energy. So it's like I'm an energy reader. I don't read the cards. I read the energy that I feel and that I pick up on. So you'll hear me a lot say, I feel this, or I'm hearing this or I'm seeing this, because I'm talking about my clairs, the things that I already have within me versus the actual cards. The cards is just here to confirm. It's just here to show you what I'm seeing or what I'm hearing internally already. So it's like, really tap into yourself before you tap into any other type of, divination work, because it's going to help you, it's going to help you much more than, just going straight into something without doing any type of work on yourself. Feel that, because I'm not in the right energy right now. Yeah, for sure. And it's like sometimes you just don't know that you may, if you're doing energy work, it doesn't always mean that you're meant to be a reader. So like, say for instance, you have healing hands. Some people who have healing hands, end up, like for instance, Lizzie in here, she does massaging. So it's like, or she's going for massaging therapy, I was a makeup artist. So makeup artists, when people used to come and sit in my chair, I'm a healer of my words also as well. So, a lot of times, hairstylists, beauticians, they're messing in your crown, they're touching your crown. So it's like their hands are healers. Some people that you go to that do hair can be very relaxing. Their energy is just very calming, and you feel so much more lighter when you leave. And then you have, some people that are hairstylists to where you don't like their energy when you come in, and it's like you don't like them touching your hair. It's like it's weird because their energy's off. It's because they're not meant to be touching your head, your crown. Okay, so it's like people are healers in different ways. It doesn't have to be always divination. Sometimes you're meant to minister to people just by your words, or just by saying certain things, or just your presence in general, or just by speaking on your own, situations. So say, for instance, you went through a lot. Sometimes you're just meant to tell someone else, your story. You know, sometimes you're just meant to tell stories, and you know that can be something to where it resonates with somebody. You may hit somebody to where someone may think that it's the end of their days, but once you tell your story, your testimony, somebody's like, oh, you know what I'm saying, I needed that. You know, I needed you to tell me that. I needed you to tell me your experience because I'm going through that right now. You know, so that's kind of what, you know, Spirit has ushered me also as well, because you know, it's meant for me to tell my story, to help others, tell my testimony. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of started this. I still got some stuff to post, but for domestic violence, you know, I've been through domestic violence in about 3 relationships. And I didn't understand, you know, in regards to my journey of why I kept, you know, being in those situations. But, you know, Spirit told me that was all part of me to help women. And so it's like me also going through situations to where I was going from friendship to friendship to friendship. And it's like I looked like the bad guy because I was always dropping these friendships, is because I kept attracting certain people that was you know, very envious and very jealous, or sneaky behind my back talking about me, or messing with my man, or whatever the case may be. I kept attracting these type of people. And then so it's like, you know, when you hear like you are who you are attract, that's not always the case, okay? Because for a second I was like, damn, I now I ain't gonna lie, there's times where I had to do my shadow work of my version of me that kind of had a little jealous streak. But it wasn't to where I wanted to diminish another woman. It wasn't to where I wanted to diminish someone else's light, or, you know, I would hate on somebody else. You know, I just be like, damn, when is it my turn? You know, type of deal. But I would tap back into that because I knew that I wasn't feeling good, you know, not being happy for somebody else. So it's like there's levels to when it comes to, you know, your shadow work, or levels when it comes to envy and jealousy or whatever. And like I said, when you're a healer, you attract the light and the dark because you're meant to help other people. You know, I'm a mirror, so it's like I mirror people's insecurities back to them. So it's like randomly I'll get people that don't like me, but they don't truly don't like me. It's just the fact that they don't like themselves. So it's like I'll mirror that back to them. So it's like it's not always the case. If someone tells you, oh, you're only attracting people because, you know, you are that person. No, that's not always the case. Sometimes you're attracting those people because you're meant to reflect it back to them. So don't always let people think and, you know, and tell you that, because a healer attracts both. But yeah, so what you've been dealing with online is projections. Yeah, I deal with that a lot online. Yeah, spirituality is like, the thing about spirituality is it's very sacred. And that's what, you know, you're starting to see more of the real readers ushering themselves, you know, in the spotlight, is because, you know, a lot of people do, you know, when spirituality kind of started really kind of kicking up, it was kind of trending, you know, dressing like a spiritual person, you know, being the dressing spiritual baddie, and, you know, oh, making cards and doing all this type of, you know, situations, you know, like it's just people was making it trend as if it was just a trending topic. It was just a trend, you know, now all of a sudden it's a new type of religion, you know, for everybody to usher to do. And that's not what the case is. Spirituality is very sacred. That's what needs to be more pressed into the community, is how sacred, you know, spirituality is. And it's a completely different ball game. Like it's so expansive, and it's a completely different ball game. That's why it's like it's not always meant for certain people to tap into things, or meant for people to jump so head first into it, because it's something that is meant to cultivate yourself. It's dealing with the soul. It's beyond the physical. It's not the physical here. It's beyond it. It's the spiritual, you know. So it's like, you know, that's why I preach on here, you know, because there was a time where a lot of the witchcraft was trending also as well, to where people would, you know, oh, this, you just got to do this, you just got to do that, and, you know, and do this spell work and do this spell work. And people was like, okay, you know, let me just go ahead and do the spell work, and not knowing that these people did not tell you that you can get karma, not knowing that people didn't tell you that you don't know who's being protected. So this is why I speak about this a lot on my page, because, there's people that will lead you to do certain things and they don't tell you the back end of it. So it's like you're not supposed to be doing certain things that, these people are doing just for money. And that's another thing, like we got to make our living, especially for us, spiritual leaders that don't have jobs and everything like that. We got to make our living. So of course we got to charge, but a lot of this is also not just about money. Money is also energy. It has to do with energy. We have to continuously cleanse ourselves every day. I got to wear a protector over my head because I can't have people protecting tapping into my crown. It's just, there's a lot of work when it comes to spirituality. And it's like, sometimes with me, I get overwhelmed. Energy is very heavy when you actually really an energy worker and you actually really tapped in. It's not just, super easy to where you just tapping in the cards. Nah, like you got to really protect yourself. And also you got to be aware too. Awareness is very key because when you are tapping into certain things, sometimes you can get trickster energies. And so trickster energies can sometimes be good or they can be bad. Because for me, I had to deal with trickster energies because spirit sent them to me on purpose, for me to, build my intuition and my discernment. So it just really is very sacred, y'all. And it's like, just take your time, with your spirituality and digging into yourself first. Okay. But we have to have our stuff in order to try to help others have our ego in balance. Exactly. Literally. Exactly. Because it can easily distort, something, and perspective is so important. Okay. Perspective is so important because the way someone delivers their delivery and telling you in regards to your reading is a whole different way. Because say for instance, you got a reader who has not did any healing work, who is still bitter off of the way men have treated them. For instance, say that. Okay. That's the example. Versus someone who actually has done healing work in regards to their past relationships. There's two different perspectives there. Because say for instance, what's coming out in the cards is, this person's a player or was a player, but it's like this person could be battling certain things. They can just be battling certain demons and they're just not time for you right now. So it's like, that's why when I do love readings, I tell you to trust your intuition and let it play out, because you never know what's going to happen. Sometimes it's the energy is always moving. It's always changing. So it's like, and a lot of times we are future readers, but just because I see in the future, just because I see a year later, doesn't mean that something's going to happen in the energy within 6 months. So, you definitely got to trust, who you're getting information from also, because, some people can have a certain perception of something versus someone else having a more higher perspective of how they see things also. So just really kind of using your discernment and pray also for discernment. Because I'll see that a lot sometimes, like, to where some people will be like, say for instance, the twin flame dynamic. Okay, so the twin flame dynamic, we've been seeing a lot of, this person's not ready, just leave this person in the dust. We all don't change. We don't evolve the same. So it's like, and especially with women versus men, women evolve differently and faster than men do. So it's like, someone will tell you to leave your twin flame in the dust versus someone else who will tell you, give it time and let it play out. Doesn't mean that you got to wait on that person. You know what I'm saying? But it's like having grace for that person, because sometimes, that person's just fighting their own demons and they may be getting attacked. So they may also be getting, magic thrown at them. That's another thing that's been happening. So it's like, some people can read and see the magic and some people can't see the magic. Because they, when it comes out in the cards, you have to feel it. You have to be able to know, your discernment has to be able to tell you, no, that's magic there. There's something off about this energy. Because the cards, when it comes to magic and you go to a high priestess or a card reader, when it comes to that, the magic will come out in the cards. But it's like, it just depends on that reader, if that reader is able to pick up on the magic or not. Like, for instance, I had a reading to where, so say for instance, you get like a little quick 10-minute reading. So it's like, okay, I can spread out the cards and get a 10-minute reading, but I can tell you something that I'm seeing, because the whole point of the magic is to distort the high priestess. So it's like they can see it, but it'll come out in the cards, but your energy has to be right to where you can tell that the energy is off. Like, nah, something's not right with these cards. The cards are showing me something, but it's not really what it's supposed to be. And then so that's when you get to clarifying and making sure, or it's a feeling that comes out. So for instance, say, what is this? I'll say like say for instance, the King of Wands comes out, okay? But internally I'm feeling a woman. Like, I'm like, nah, this is a woman trying to come off as a man, trying to distort me, trying to make me think that this is something else. That's why when you tapping into to cards, it's a portal. So you just gotta be on your P's and Q's. You gotta be heavy on, when you heal more, when you tap more into your shadow work and you bring more light to yourself, that's when your discernment gets to kicking up, to where you're able to see through the bullshit. You're able to see through the illusion of the cards, or whatever the case may be, because that's what happens. So yeah. Thank you for the follows. That's why I don't knock anything of people that, you're welcome. I don't knock anything that people do, just showing people how to read cards, but you got to really be called to do it. Like, some people just be teaching anybody. And that's another thing when it comes to, it has nothing to do with gatekeeping, but some things need to be gatekept. Some things need to be sacred, to where it's, divine is really telling you that this person is meant to have this information, because you see how so many things have been thrown out there and now it's been misused. The sacredness of spirituality has been misused so much. People just kind of play around with it, throw it around, and not knowing that you guys, that people are, just digging their own hole with spirituality. So it's just, you just got to take it as, you got to just really be sacred with your work. Okay. That's just really what it is. That's just what I'll leave that on, is be sacred, with your spirituality. It's very sacred. It's not a trend. It's not something that you just play with. It's sacred. Okay. You know how a lot of, Christians, they claim of being so upright. This is why we have a distortion in our community, of things that are actually sacred, is because, when it comes to Christianity, when I was a Christian, that was sacred to me. My connection with divine source, with God, was very sacred. So, people will, you see how these people out here that call themselves Christians, but they're okay with the immigrants or Mexicans or Latino people being, mistreated, in this country, or, the black folks being mistreated in this country, but you call yourself a Christian. You continue to hop in somebody's life and judge someone and tell someone they're a devil worshiper, but your Bible tells you not to judge, it's just people have taken things so much out of context and just taking things, the whole sacredness out of, what we're supposed to be creating as a sacred place. And, and also, like I said, with the messiness that goes on these apps also, to where these people be beefing, spiritualists be beefing and everything. It's just like, where can people see an example of sacred community? Because that's the whole point of us being leaders and being ushered into our positions, is to create a sacred space. Literally, not to create a space of where we're beefing with each other, or you're right, you're wrong. That's why, like, over here, your sacredness, your spirituality journey is how you go through your spirituality journey, how you were called to do your spirituality journey, not on how everybody else is telling you to do it. Because for instance, with candle magic, someone can tell you not to blow it out. But for me, I'm an air sign. So my breath of life is my breath of life. The way I alchemize things, the way I speak on things, I can blow my candles out. And my magic will be the same way because I'm an alchemist. So it's like, some things people just, the spirituality is infinite. That's all I'll say. There's some things that I feel like, you can't do, but some things, people have different teachings also as well. You just got to go with whatever you feel is your spirit is calling you to do. I may not be the teacher for you, but somebody else who does a different teaching might be the teacher for you because it resonates more with your spirit. So it's like, we're just not all, we're all interconnected in a sense, but not also, to where we have different rituals or different types of teachings. It just all depends on if it resonates with you or not. That's why discernment is key. Discernment is, key for you to have discernment and not just taking in and doing your own research and not just taking in what anybody says. You got to make sure it resonates with your soul. Like, for instance, for me, I'll listen to other people, just to kind of hear them out, hear their perspective and everything. But it's like, if it's not hitting my heart, like, it's like, I don't feel that in my heart, in my soul, to where I'm like, yes, like, I feel that, then I'm not going to necessarily, kind of go that direction. But it's like, if I feel that, I'm like, okay, I feel that in my soul, like something about me tells me that that is the truth. You're telling the truth. And then I'll go do my own research about it and be like, okay, let me see something about this. And then these little pieces will be put together and I'm like, oh, now I see. No wonder why my heart was resonating with this. No wonder why I felt like this was true. So that's definitely what it is. Yeah, people have the same belief with different practice. Yes, exactly. But yeah, I'm actually glad whoever that was that asked that question. I'm glad you opened up that space for us to talk about it, because you may not be the only person that needed to hear that. Okay, other people may have resonated with that. That may have been something that somebody else needed to hear. And honestly, it just may be something that I need to talk about with the moon coming out, being revealed, illumination. So it was meant for those things to come out here. Exactly. All right. Now that that's out of the way, great conversation there. Great way to open up the energy. Welcome to those that are new here. Welcome to the fam. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for giving me the 13K likes, y'all. I appreciate it. Happy Saturday. Spirit is saying to do a message. They're giving me a message of direction. Message of peace is what I'm hearing also. And I'm hearing brighter days. Choosing your happiness is so important at this time. What's the message here, Spirit? Some of you have been going through a lot of tough battles. And it's been really tough right now. And some of you are getting ushered into a space of isolation. You may have already kind of been peaking a little bit of that isolation, but I'm picking up on this energy of wintertime is going to feel very heavy for some of you. It's going to, because you're going to be more isolated. Because a lot of things may have closed out during this summer. You let go of a lot of people during this summer. And that's going to be a continuous thing with this 9-year cycle, this ending cycle. So, you know, some of you may be kind of really feeling it during the winter season. And so Spirit wants you to get in preparation of knowing that it's just a season, not just, you know, it's not your life. Okay. The world is not ending because of the things that are ending in your life. This is just another season. So, you know, seasonal depression comes up, you know, anxiety, you know, gets to flaring. Holidays get around and it's not the same as, you know, last year or the year before that, because you usually have people around you. So this is that energy to where Spirit's letting you know it's going to be all right. Okay. That isolation is meant for you to go within. It's meant for you to have some time with yourself, because a lot of you may have been in a lot of people pleasing energy to where you've been overextending or giving your energy everywhere else. And it's time for you to go within now. It's a certain type of action that you got to take. King of Wands and Queen of Wands. Okay. Masculine and feminine energy here. So this is that time where you got to take some sort of action towards yourself, you know, and leaning more into yourself than actually what you had going on the outside is what I'm picking up on. Yeah, I just seen the Death card. What's going on here? Yeah, Two of Wands. This is some sort of forward movement that's going. But like I said, it's going to feel like it's not forward movement. It's going to feel like you're not moving. It's because time's going to start going slow for you now. It's going to feel a little bit slow because a lot of things was clearing out. So the reason why it's going to feel slow, and we're coming into more of the time period, which is the winter season. The winter season is more kind of slow. The days kind of feel slower. You know, they get shorter also as well. So it's like, this is that energy to where it's going to feel like a lot of time is kind of dragging to where, you know, you may start getting antsy, you know, because it's, you know, the sun's not out. So we're not getting so much energy from the sun. You know, you can't really go out too much because you don't want to get in the cold, you know. So this is that energy to where everything is slowing down in nature. So this is picking up to where it's time for you to slow down. Okay. So, you know, follow what nature is doing. It's time for you to slow down now and focus on yourself. Okay. Because sometimes when we are in survival mode, our body, it's hard for our body to really kind of, it's like we can know it in our mind to slow down. Like, it's like my mind is telling me to slow down. My mind is telling me to, you know, love on myself right now. Your mind can tell you all that, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, we've been so stuck in survival to where our body does not feel that. Our nervous system doesn't feel that. So it's like, you know it, but you're not feeling it. And this is something that I struggle with for a while, still to this day, because, you know, I'm so used to being on the run. I'm so used to, you know, getting up, doing this, you know, and I'm just like, I prayed to be in the space that I am now, to have a more slower, more intentional life. And so it's like, when you're creating that more slower, more intentional life, you know, it takes for you to regulate your nervous system. That's why we have to ground ourselves, get out in nature, or sit down and meditate, or listen to some more calming music, because we got to calm ourselves down. You know, especially for those that have been on TikTok for a long time, you know, our attention span is not all the way there. You know, our attention span is short, to where you can only watch a little 2-minute video. You know, like a lot of people don't even watch the videos full through because your attention span, you're ready to scroll again. So it's like we have to slow ourselves down, because I literally have caught myself doing that also as well, to where I'm like, damn, like I actually really want to listen to this video, but I'm like, damn, when is it over? Like, shit, 5 minutes? God damn. You know, and it's like, that's not how life is supposed to be. Like, we are not supposed to be able to even take, you know, time for a 5-minute video. Just imagine, you know, how these kids feel. You know, just imagine how these children are sitting in these classrooms, you know, for 8 hours a day, and they're kids and they're overstimulated. But the doctors will tell you, or the teachers will tell you, oh, they have ADHD. No, they don't. They're just kids. They have a lot of energy. They're energized. And it's like, so they only have the little 10 minutes of recess to go out and run around and play, you know, and they really need more of that. So it's like, you know, they teach us this at the beginning of stages. They take us out of our homes at 5 years old and teach us their ways, when this is not the ways that we're supposed to be going. This is not the way our human design is meant to be, you know. Some of you are calling your power back with the 4 cups or 4 pentacles here. This is a tower for happiness. This is a tower for balance. With the Lovers coming out here, the tower is not always a bad card. The tower is something that is, you know, an awakening. It's something that happens in order for you to see something clear. And what's coming to be that's clear here is your energy is being realigned. Okay, with this balance and the Sun card energy, your energy is being more realigned with what you choose to be joy and happiness. So it's like, you know, whatever you've been going through has not really satisfied your energy, and this goes right into that energy I was talking about in regards to Pluto earlier in this live. Was Pluto is transformation, is destruction. So it's like whenever something's and it's in Aquarius. So Aquarius energy is authenticity. It's moving into, you know, innovation in regards to the future, how you plan to see your future. Okay, so it's like if you mentally are in certain relationships and you're like, man, I'm just not happy, like something is just not, I'm just not happy in these relationships, I don't know what it is, I can't put my finger onto it. It's because you're not necessarily truly, you know, expressing yourself. You're not necessarily truly being who you actually want to be. A lot of people in this community, you know, we've been taught to be just in relationships, and it's like that's why you see people going from a relationship to the next, to the next, to the next, but it's like they're all dead end. It's because you show up in a certain way. You wear a mask. You know, some people can't even say that they like certain kinks in the bedroom with their person. You know, why are we not being able to tell that person that? If we sign up to spend our life and devote our lives with this person, we are devoting a piece of ourselves with that person. So it's like, why take a piece of yourself and not show it to the person that you're signing up your whole life to be with? You know, like that doesn't make any sense. So it's like, you know, we have to start living in our authenticity, putting the cards on the table, you know, laying it out on the table here. You know, some people are getting in relationships and someone has a lower sex drive than someone that has a higher sex drive. And it's no compatibility here. Okay. Yeah, Knight of Cups energy. Emotions. Some of us don't even express our emotions correctly with certain people because we don't want them to look at us a certain type of way. And that I'm talking about men, okay? So, you know, you men that are in here, you know, expressing your emotions does not mean that you're weak. This is that time to start ushering out of that energy, because it's no longer serving your body. It's no longer serving your mental. It's no longer serving you. It keeps you bottled up into, you know, to where when we don't release, you know, it causes stagnancy in our bodies. It causes pain in our bodies. You know, it starts to manifesting as pain, you know, or coming out as anger. And that's not serving y'all anymore. It's not serving us women either. So it's like, you know, we got to be in spaces with people that actually accept us for who we are. You know, we be thinking that certain people accept us, and they don't really truly accept us for real. They only accept a version of you that you displayed, you know, not your full self, just only what you displayed. This is why you see people that don't necessarily post, you know, their whole life and situation. The whole time you think somebody's in a happy marriage or a happy situation, and the whole time there's somebody getting beat up behind the scenes, you know, people going through deep shit behind the scenes, you know, somebody beating their ass. Like, it's just, we literally got to get out of this energy of feeling like we have to display things as if it's so perfect, you know, because it's setting an example to these children, you know, that things have to be perfect, or this always going to be this perfect picture. And then it's like when you get into a relationship, these kids get into a relationship and it's like, this is not what, you know, I was displayed. This is not what I seen on social media. This is not what I seen with my parents, you know, or whatever the case may be. Like, we're setting people up for failure. Two of Swords and Three of Cups energy. It's keeping people at a stalemate energy in regards to celebrating their actual true divinity. 222 is significant. So this is Mother Nature getting things back into balance. You know, everything is getting shifted. Yeah. This is Mother Nature getting things back into balance. Chariot energy is the Cancer, which rules the 4th house, which is home, family, stability, ancestor energy. Okay, so it's like we got to get back to our roots. We got to get back to you know, restabilizing that root energy. Okay, because depending on how you lay your foundation is how your foundation is going to be, is how your building is going to show up, how your tree is going to show up. Okay, so it's like when you're planting a tree, when you're planting plants, you can come into root rot if you are over watering, or if you're overly doing something. When anything is too much of excess, when things are too much that we do too much of, it starts to distort things. So it's like it has to be just the right amount of things for us, our foundation, to be correct or laid right. Okay. So too much consumption of anything can, disrupt you. Say for instance, sweets. We can eat sweets, but it's like too much consumption. What do you start getting? Cavities. What do you start getting? Stomach aches. Too much consumption of something. You can drink a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Know your limits when it comes to drinking, but too much consumption can lead to blackouts. Too much consumption can lead to being addicted to to these things. Too much consumption of smoking weed can start triggering certain things within your mind to where you can't remember certain things, or you're not able to, you're numbing yourself. So it's like too much consumption of certain things we don't necessarily need. It's just the right amount of things that we need. So what I'm picking up on with this energy is, what is it in your life that you are overly consuming of? Say for instance, with social media, some of us are spending so much time on screens, to where we're getting illusions. We're getting, we're seeing other people's lives, and people are starting to get envious and feeling some type of way, feeling like they're behind, like, oh, my life is not going anywhere. You're seeing everybody getting married and you're not getting married. And that's why you decide to go be with Joe because he's the best candidate right now. The whole time, Joe's actually not healthy for you. Joe's just a trauma bond. And it's like, it is because you're just so self-deprived of love that you decide to go be with this person because everybody else is getting married. So I got to hurry up and try to find me a partner that looks the part, but is not the part, to where now I want to be in a relationship with this person. Then it doesn't work out. This person wants to drag me along situationship to where he don't even want to propose to me. Now I got to figure something else out because everybody else is still getting married. Now I'm getting pregnant by somebody who I know I shouldn't have got pregnant by. So it's like, we got to start making more conscious decisions, and also speaking up about it, because somebody needs to hear your story. Somebody needs to hear something to where, okay, this puts me in a different perspective. This tells me to value myself more instead of, just kind of the picture of it, And you see, that's why, our government and everything and these platforms will push that. They'll push it because they know exactly what deprives people of really truly being themselves. This is the time to walk away from these type of energies. It's no longer serving us at all. Okay? So some of you are in a stage of rebuilding, and not necessarily rebuilding, but actually just rediscovery, self-discovery. Where are you at right now in life? Like, is it time for you to kind of take some time to yourself? Is it time for you to pour more into your children at this time? Is it really meant for you to date right now? Are you really ready to date right now? Like, it's just really kind of take some time to really start introspection at this time. Let's see what's hiding in the shadows. What is it that the collective is not facing at this time? What is it that they may need to tap more into in regards to their shadow work? Evil Queen just came out. It says, where love eludes, fear becomes my throne. What would a rose be without its thorns? There's I talk about this show a lot because it's a lot of spiritual references in this show. It's called Once Upon a Time or something like that on Disney. And it shows like past lives and how it manifests with, present lives and such of that. Okay. And the evil queen in this show she was she turned very evil because her love life was cursed. And so you know, like I was just talking about in regards to being love deprived and feeling like you have to be loved and you're settling for people that you know that you shouldn't be settling for, it can put you in a different energy. And what am I trying to say here? It can make you make decisions that you know that you shouldn't be making. Okay, when you you don't feel loved and you feel love deprived. Because the woman in the evil queen in this show was tearing down everybody else. Like, she was cursing everyone. She was trying to tear down someone's love life, and cursing on people's love lives, doing spell work and magic on them, because she was mad because she couldn't attract a certain level of love. But if she actually wasn't doing all these dark things out of her shadow self, and she actually put light to the situation and healed, then she wouldn't be showing up as the way that she was showing up. Okay, so what this is saying here is, you know, what is it that you're needing to tap into that you are displaying that maybe needs a little bit more attention at this time? Okay, and what I'm really picking up on that is self-love. Okay, so it's like, you know, self-love can go so deep. You know, there was times where I was like, I love myself. Of course I love myself, you know, like, yeah, I love myself. But what I didn't notice until I started doing my work on myself is that if I loved myself, I wouldn't have dealt with an abusive person, you know, someone who was abusive towards me. You know, if I really truly loved myself, I wouldn't have stuck in a situationship and waited to receive a title. You know, like, it's like, if I would have loved myself, I would have left that situation way earlier than you know, dealing with that person over and over. You know, if you make decisions on loving someone more than yourself, and, you know, and giving yourself away, then that's where you got to turn back around and turn back and do some more introspection, because you don't truly love yourself. And it's like, and it's hard to hear that sometimes, you know, and it's hard to kind of just really set that with yourself, because, you know, we've been taught so much of self-love is doing your hair, or self-love is getting your nails done, or getting your feet done, or just all of the physical, you know, all of the physical things has been taught what self-love is. And self-love is more than just physical. Self-love is, you know, celibacy, you know, taking some time back to not give your body to everybody else, you know, to where you're not giving your energy to everybody else. You know, self-love is, you know, knowing when it's time to take some time to yourself because you've been overextending, you've been people pleasing, knowing when it's time to let that friendship go because that friendship is not truly serving you. You know, self-love is, you know, my mental state is not right, so I don't want to be around y'all right now. Not saying that I don't love you, but my mental state is not right. So it's like, I need to pull back because I love myself more than, you know, giving you my energy. So it's like, you know, we got to start rewiring our minds of what self-love truly is, instead of it just being the outside of ourselves, you know, and what we display. Everybody wants to be, you know, slim waist and, you know, glowing skin and everything like that. But it's like, what about your mental state? How is your mental? How are you doing mentally? How are you doing emotionally? You know, are you suppressing yourself? Are you smoking every single day because you keep on closing yourself off to the emotions that you want to feel? Are you codependent? Do you feel like you got to go from one relationship to the next relationship because you don't want to sit with yourself for a week straight? You know, so it's like, we got to really start tapping into that energy. And it takes time. Trust me, it takes time, because it takes time for me to learn it also as well. But when you actually start loving on yourself more, and you start seeing yourself in a different light, and you're like, damn, you start reflecting and like, damn, I shouldn't have dealt with that. I shouldn't have did this. I shouldn't have did that. And you start seeing more light within yourself. You feel so much better. It feels so much lighter, like so much lighter when you do it. So it's like the work. Yeah. The thing is everybody wants quick results. Quick, 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 quick. That's why people don't be in the gym. They rather go get liposuction. Nothing against them, but you know, people don't want to be in the gym and actually do that. So they'll go get liposuction, or you take these magical pills that you done found on TikTok shop that says that you will completely be 10 pounds lighter the next week, and that's really just water weight. So it's just like, you know, everybody wants the easy way out, you know, and that's why a lot of people don't do the work. That's why few are chosen, or many are chosen, but few are called, or many are called and few are chosen, you know, because not everybody wants to do the work. Not everybody wants to show up for themselves. They want an easy way out. And a lot of times it's because our society has taught us to give us easy way out. So, you know, really kind of just taking that time to do the work. It's very much, when you know that something is valuable, you know, then you actually do it. You know, some people will sign up for certain things because they see value in it, you know. So it's like you got to see value in yourself. And a lot of times we don't be seeing value fully in ourselves. So it's like you got to see yourself as the value. I'm the value. So it's like how to make myself more valuable. What can I do to add more value to myself instead of going, you know, taking all these shortcuts and everything like that. Slow and steady wins the race. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Having more grace with yourself, being more patient with yourself. Demons. Facing your own demons at this time. Shadow work. The temptation of living. What was I just talking about? I was just talking about temptation. The temptation of leaving, the fear of regret, dancing among the ashes from the flames of hell. This is that inner demons, the inner things that we deal with, that you got to shine some light on. There's a lot of temptation out there. Say, for instance, you're on a diet, or you're trying to be on a diet. There's temptation everywhere, you know, commercials, you know, of fast food places, you know, temptations of mukbangs, or whatever the case, mukbangs or whatever, people eating, you know, all these food, and it's like, oh my God, I want that. Oh my God, I want that. That's all it's been on TikTok. It's people, you know, you scrolling and it's like, oh my God, I need that. No, you don't. It's just temptation. You don't need it. You just want it. So it's like, what's your wants and what's your needs? What is your body calling you right now? What do you need at this time? What do you need and not what you actually want? Because sometimes those needs, the things that you need, the wants are going to come easily. They're going to come easily because you fed your needs instead of just always the wants. Knowledge, death, and energies, ravens. Some of you could be seeing crows or seeing ravens, black birds, okay? This is telling you it's time for a rebirth. It's telling you it's time for you to change and shift some things, and also tap into your shadow side, the shadow version of you, doing your shadow work, tapping into your traumas, bringing light into certain situations, facing your demons, okay? When you don't face your demons, you start making decisions out of your shadow version, out of your trauma. You start making those decisions. So it's like, if you're mad about your decision makings, or you're mad about the way your life looks right now, you got to go back and do some introspection. What's the clarity right now for the collective? If you want a personal reading, my what's it called? My list is open right now. I think I'll only take like about 3, 4. So if you want a personal, the link is in the bio to go ahead and book that. Let me see if anyone sent in. There's nobody on the list right now, so yeah. All right, clarity for the collective. Chat done got quiet. Trust the process. This is divine timing, okay? Trust the process. Like I said, a lot of times we don't like to hear certain things, but it is what it is. It's in the highest good. That's exactly what just came out. Like I said, this chat done got quiet. The outcome may not be exactly what you want, but it's what you need. I was just talking about wants and needs. What do you need versus what do you want? And it just came out. It may not be what you want. You may not want to hear it. It may not be what you want to do, but it's what your soul, it's what your spirit is calling you that you need at this time. Thank you for the heart me. Okay? Carried away into your own love. Unlock your heart. You're on the right track. Steady progress. This is everything that I just was talking about. Patience is your ally. Celebrate each step forward no matter what the size is. Every step counts. Every single step counts. Don't beat yourself up for it. When you're learning certain things and you're just like, damn, I might have a long way to go then, don't think of it like that, because, life is a journey. We all are evolving. We all are taking time to learn things over time. So, don't beat yourself up for the journey that you have to take, because we're all on the journey. We're all evolving. Don't measure yourself up to someone else. Just measure yourself up to who you was last week. Measure yourself up to who you was last month. Measure yourself up to who you was last year. Am I the same person last week? Am I the same person last year? Am I the same person that I was 3 months ago? Am I still kind of spilling out my energy onto other people? Am I still making the same mistakes? Am I still attracting the same type of people? What is it that I'm doing that I need to change, that I need to shift? Question yourself on a regular basis. Ask divine for support, for help. Send me what I need to see. Send it to me in a visual manner so I can see exactly what I need to see. When I was going through a relationship, a narcissistic relationship, I was getting intuitive nudges that I was in an abusive relationship, but I didn't see it. So I told Spirit to send me exactly what I need to know about this relationship or whatever the case may be. And all of a sudden on my timeline was nothing but narcissist against the empath, narcissist against the empath, narcissist against the empath. And I'm like, hold on. Why is all this coming on my timeline? And it's like, because I asked for it. I told Spirit to show me. I told Spirit I'm a visual learner. I learn by visual things. So it's like, okay, I need you to show me this then. I need you to show me. What they do, they showed me every single time. Every single time. And I got to learn more about the things that I was experiencing going through situations with a narcissist, because that's a very hard thing to kind of get out of sometimes when you're dealing with a narcissist, because you're in a spiral, you're in a cloud to where that's the same person that comforts you, but it's the same person that hurts you at the same time. And it's like, and I couldn't understand it, because I was like, damn, I'm in a relationship that I feel like they love me. I feel like they love me. I feel like they help me grow. But really, I had to get out of that. I had to get out of that illusion. I was in an illusion. So it's like I had to get out of that illusion to realize that this person is literally hurting me more than they're loving on me. And I had to just come out, write my pros and cons. Sometimes we just don't realize it until we actually realize it. Or until we actually come up out of it, or, we start doing some healing work to where it's starting to shine a little bit of light and you understand it now. So it's like, sometimes we just don't know. And, just really pray, for Spirit to show you exactly what you need to see and what you need to know. Because that was a tough situation that I was in. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't understand it for a while, but, I made it out, I made it out for sure, because I started putting 2 and 2 together. It is a vicious cycle. It is. So, and a lot of people are dating narcissists. A lot of people, there's a lot of narcissists out here, a lot of narcissistic people. And sometimes it can be hard to kind of spot out somebody, or, kind of really tell that that person is very narcissistic. But when you actually heal, you can tell. You can literally tell who that person is and who they are. You can really tell. But narcissists love to put on a certain type of display. And when you're dealing with a narcissist, they start to morph into your energy. So it's like, so for instance, if you're the more healed one, or the more like the empathic one, they start to morph into your energy, to where they start copying what you do, to where it looks like they're healing, but they're not healing, to where they'll talk a good game, but the actions aren't aligning. So it's like, you got to watch out for that. And it's because for a long time, I was listening to somebody to where I just listened to what they were speaking on. So it's like I just kept listening to what they told me and told me and told me, but the action wasn't aligning. They wasn't aligning, or the action would align for like 2 weeks. And then after the 2 weeks, then it's the same old shit. Or the action will align for like a month. And I'm like, okay, we're on the right track. And then it's like, when you see that, the lack of self-love, the lack of love that you received in childhood, or that you didn't give to yourself, you're like, okay, we're on the same page. Because it's like, now it's like, I have my problems, they have their problems, and now you're just seeing it as, you guys just have problems. And that's not really truly what it is. Actually, you're dealing with an abuser. You're dealing with somebody who only gives you a certain level of love when they feel as if you need it, because they already peeped game on you. They already seen what you needed. Because a lot of times also with us women is, we'll tell a man everything that happened to us. We'll tell a man every single thing of what kind of, makes us feel a certain type of way. We'll line it all out for them. And they just like, I understand. Yeah, I get it. Da da da, blah, blah, blah. Whole time they're plotting on you. They're plotting. Actions speak louder than words. Exactly. And you'll continue to go into a whole little, like I said, spiral. Every year it was something different. Every year it just was a spiral, and I just kept spiraling and spiraling and spiraling. And it's like, okay, I'm really not seeing something here, to where I'm literally stuck in the same situation. Y'all see how I was just talking about these Christians, these people that like to come in here and tell you that you're devil worshiping and all that type of stuff, and then they coming into my live today. They a different type of special. I really don't knock Christianity, because sometimes that can be a gateway to where it can open you up to faith in general, or just to open you up into a practice in the sense of higher power. But the way the teachings is, and the way they go about, the way they do things is a no for me also as well. It's just a display. They just be fake worshipers. That's just what it be. Just be fake worshipers. That's what the problem be. Because in all actuality, if people was actually, who they say they was as Christians, and did the ministering that they supposed to really truly do, then things could be better in this world. But that's not what they really doing. They ain't really doing that shit. They're judging people more than anything. And a lot of times these people have been, had the same testimony. That's why I had to really get out of the church, is because, people will display a certain thing on Sunday and be a whole different, person on another day. And it's like, there's no point in that. There ain't no point in that. Like when I was going to church, it's like they would always kind of condemn me for missing church. Well, we missed you last Sunday. And it's like you would feel this energy to where it's just like they were just waiting for you to come in that door. Like, it's like, God damn, like, okay, I missed last Sunday. Like, okay, like, I'm here this Sunday. Like, it's just like, it just would be so annoying. Like, and it's just like, just because you don't show up there, is like you're doing something to God, or you're not being obedient. And I don't know. It's just all annoying to me, because really, If them same people that was preaching the things that they would preach, and they actually would extend themselves as an individual and just a human, having a human experience, then things will be different. Because, ministry can help people. Ministry is meant to help people. So, that's why Jesus was a healer that walked the earth. He was just a prophet. He was just a spiritual being. Jesus was just a spiritual being, that just walked the earth and helped people heal, and taught them to be, to get out of their shallow versions of themselves, to get out of that, that ego, or the tainted ego parts of them. Yeah, not all Christians are definitely like that. They're not. They're not. They're not, because there's times where I would, a message is a message, regardless if it's a certain religion, being delivered by it. A message that's meant to, uplift the community, or, minister, is a message. Because there's, confirmation. There's times where I would listen to Sarah Jakes. I love me some Sarah Jakes down. She a Christian, full on Christian, but I love me some Sarah Jakes down. I can relate with a lot of things that she says, like her ministry and the things that she talks about. Even Michael Todd. I love some Michael Todd. I'll watch some of his sermons, every once in a while too. So it's just like it's just all on the beliefs, people's belief systems, and not necessarily the ministry, feeling like you gotta go to a Bible college just to be a minister, just to be a prophet. That's not what it is, like I said, it's the belief system of these religions. And really, it's all spirituality in one. That's all what it is. Everything is spirituality. All it is just a practice, a ritual. That's just all what it is. But it be all the same thing. It be all the same thing. But they try to keep it in a box. That's just really what it is. They just try to keep it in a box.
That's why you need Vivo Track. Vivo works 24/7 to lure, catch, and kill 99.9%.
The community ruined everything for me. Yeah, it'd be like that. Life lessons, soul growth, study, higher learning, Earth School. Literally life lessons. This is all that's going on at this time. It's just life lessons, and learning from the lessons. Sometimes we be Stevie Wonder in it, just kind of just like going through life, just how we just going through life. It is just like, no, like we supposed to be learning here. We supposed to be learning here, okay? We supposed to be growing our soul at this time. Child of the cosmos, the intelligence of the universe lies within you. Stevie Wonder and his wife. That's what people be doing. That's just what it is. It be the blind leading the blind. But yeah, child of the cosmos, everything is already within you. It's already there. Like I said, we just got to turn inward. Really kind of get to know what our soul is telling us, where our soul is guiding us. Where did our soul come from? Why am I on this earth? What is the lesson that I got to learn? What is the generational curses? What is the generational patterns that I keep seeing? Our brain recognizes patterns. So it's like, for instance, you have our intuition, so it's like, say, for instance, you're dealing with somebody who is a serial cheater. And it's like, you may not have the physical proof of it, but it's like something in your soul, in your body is telling you, no, something's off. Something you're cheating, because when you cheat, you get distant. That's a pattern. When you cheat, you're not home as much. That's a pattern. When you cheat, you like to be on your phone all the time, and you don't give me any attention. When you cheat, we don't have good as sex. The sex isn't as good at that time. It's a pattern. It's just, your brain recognizes certain patterns. What is the pattern that your brain is recognizing at this time? Okay. What are you seeing? What is a pattern? What is, we learned this in childhood, of what a pattern looks like. So it's like, what is the pattern that you're seeing at this time that is, trying to get your attention? The Sea of the Mintaka, seeing potential, bringing unconsciousness to light. Cleansing, water. Water is cleansing. Water is memory. Water holds memory. Water is cleansing and purification. This is, you're purging certain things of memories or certain things that have been energetically. There was something that I came across of recently. I was listening to a podcast and she was talking about epigenetics or something. I haven't went too deep into it, but it was something I already knew, but I didn't know that there was a word that was, associated with it. And pretty much what that is, for instance, if your grandmother and your grandmother before that, this is like that generational pattern, generational, DNA code, okay, is what I call it. But when say your grandmother has been in survival, she did a lot, she went through a lot of domestic situations, she didn't speak up for herself or whatever the case may be. She had to be in survival. She's always in anxiety. That DNA structure, that code gets encoded into you when you come into this world. So now you have this weird sense of anxiety that just you're holding on to things that's not even yours. Okay? And this is why that energetic memory, water holds memory. We're like, 80-90% of water. We come through water. We're in a portal of water. Okay. So it's like that, all that memory that's held in there while you're in that womb and you're in that stomach. Okay. Of that portal with that water. This is why we have to create environments for our children first also, because, you're going through high risk pregnancies. You know what I'm saying? You in abusive relationships, you with a man that don't love you. You with a man that treated you different when you got pregnant. He was all good for you and everything like that. And once you got pregnant, he gave you hell. And you're creating hell, an environment of hell in that womb, in that body. The water that you're drinking, the environment that you're in, you're creating a hell environment for your child. So when you bring this child into this world, you got a child that you think is colicky, but really that child is just going through the emotional imprint that you went through when you was pregnant. That's epigenetics. Because you created a hostile environment for that child. This is why they say you got to keep these stress hormones and everything like that at bay. And you can't deal with certain things, when you're pregnant, because it rubs off into your child. Now you got a child that cries all the time and you can't figure it out. It's because they're stressed. The baby's already stressed because of the womb, because of the memory, because of the DNA code that they hold into them. And just like, when kids come out and all of a sudden they have these certain traits of their dad, say for instance, I think there's like studies in regards to like serial killers, and it's like they have these traits when they come out as a child, and they're afraid that their kid is going to take on that same thing. It's epigenetics. So we got to really start creating environments for, our children, and before pregnancy, after pregnancy. Really know who you're dealing with. That's why celibacy is so important also as well, and pouring into yourself, because your discernment heightens to where you can pick up on the energy of somebody not being right for you. Like I was in a space to where I was in a space to where everybody was getting pregnant around me. I'm 33, okay? 33 as I look up to. That's crazy. 33 in the views. I'm 33 years old, okay? And I was in a space to where everybody was 20 years old, 20s, I was so serious in high school, in high school, I was like serious about my relationship. Us women, we get to being serious about relationships in the beginning, and in high school, that's when we really start to seeing things as, oh, they're the love of my life, high school sweetheart, we're going to be together forever, we're going to get married, and we're going to have kids and name them Billy and Joe. Oh my God, I think I'm going to have twins, and blah, 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 okay? And, this was like, when I was in my 20s, I was thinking all of that. I was with my high school sweetheart. I felt like outside of high school, and that man was abusive. He was very abusive to me, and I was so ashamed of speaking about my abuse to where I didn't tell anybody, absolutely nobody, when I was going through it, until like about 5 years in, 6 years in. I had already been like, hit on a couple of times, and stuff. But there was a time where it actually knocked my tooth out. So it knocked my tooth out and I had to go to the hospital. And my mom and my dad came to the hospital because I couldn't necessarily. So I told them, because I had a history of passing out because of like low anemic and stuff like that, like low iron. So I had a history of passing out. So I told them that I passed out, that I was like, no, I passed out, and hit the sink, and, that's how it happened. And so, they was like, are you sure? Like, are you sure? You sure he didn't do anything to you? And blah, blah. I was like, no, he didn't do anything, and blah, 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 just blah, all this other type of stuff. I was dealing with this as a teenager. As a teenager, I was going through this. Didn't have nobody, around me that I could tell, because I was so ashamed. Like, I'm just like, oh my God, like, I'm going through this, and I'm just like, I don't want to tell nobody, because it's just like, I can't believe I'm even going through this, because I was that person that said, I can never be in those type of situations. I can never be in a relationship that somebody's hitting me. I can never be in a relationship where somebody is being this way towards me or treating me in a certain type of way. And I'm feeling emotional right now because I feel like there's somebody on here that may be going through this right now. And because usually I can talk about this without being emotional. And but that was a very tough part of my life. Very, very tough part of my life. And I did not see the beauty within myself. And I know there is so many women out here. We're in October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, okay? And so many of us hold so much shame and so much guilt and hide this behind the scenes. I was scrolling on TikTok or on Facebook, and I don't even be on my Facebook. I deactivated, but I seen someone who I used to, work with that was going through a domestic violence situation. And I thought that she was so happy, to be honest. But this person had, she had blood going down her face and everything. And it's just like, you never know what people are literally going through behind closed doors. You never know. And it's like, people can show up as their best version of themselves and literally, like I said, can be going through a whole domestic situation behind the scenes, and their eyes will tell it all. Their weight of them not being around will tell it all, because really their soul, their spirit is calling for you to help. It's like, I wish somebody was there for me when I was a child. I wish somebody was there for me when I was a teenager, because I was so young dealing with this. Like, so young dealing with this. I was 19, 17, 16 years old, 16 years old when I was leaving school. I was in the counselor's office. I was leaving my home and things like that in the middle of the night because of this abusive situation. And it's like, and I didn't have anybody to show me that was not what I was supposed to be in. I thought it was love. I thought it was love, but it wasn't. It truly wasn't. And it hurts my heart to know that so many of these girls that are in high school, and I got a niece in high school, and I talk to her about this all the time. I try to make sure that she has a safe space with me, because I didn't have that when I was young. I didn't have a safe space when I was younger. I didn't have someone to talk to about the things that I was going through besides the counselor that I was going to at school. And I would tell them, don't call my mom, don't call my dad, don't tell anybody, and that counselor would keep it, sacred with me. But in all actuality, we need to know about this with our children. We need to know what's going on. I was too young to deal with that. Way too young. And it hurts my heart to know that there's other women that are going through it. And, but yeah. So that's something that, I had gone through for some time. And then, like I said, the next relationship that I had to leave is because, he was showing signs of a physical abuser, getting in my face, always felt the need to overpower me, yell at me, and, very verbally abusive, very mentally abusive, very, emotionally abusive. I've been through situations to where, my other past relationship also, I've been sexually assaulted over about 3 times. It's been like, yeah, a little bit over 3 times. I've been sexually assaulted over 3 times. So, yeah. So it's like, a lot of women go through these things behind the scenes and people normalize it. Like I said, this picture of this perfectness because you have a person. Love on yourself more. If you're in a situation to where you got to leave that situation, that you need to leave. Like, it's not going to get any better. And that's what happened with me. I thought it was going to get better and it didn't get better at all. It didn't. It actually got worse. So, if you're in a situation, leave that situation, okay? Because it's not going to get any better. The person does not want to heal unless they decide to heal. And they need to heal on their own, not with you. Because you're gonna be too attached, and then you never know what can happen. You may have a child with that person, and you kind of feel like you're stuck because you don't want to leave the situation, because you don't want to bring your child out of a home that doesn't have a man and a woman there. So it's like, make sure that you are taking care of yourself, and talk to your teenagers, talk to your kids. They need to know that this is a safe space to talk about certain things. Too many people are going through things at an even younger age. They're being exposed to things that are just don't even need to be getting exposed to. Talk to your kids. Talk to your teenagers. They don't want to talk, they don't want to tell you things or anything like that. That's because they're it's just like you. You didn't want to talk to your parents because you didn't want to get in trouble, or you didn't want to, hear certain things from your, a lecture. That's why you got to personalize things with your kids, with your teens. You got to personalize it. It's not necessarily being their friend, but you got to also show that you're there for them as a friend, to where you can still be comfortable with me even though I'm your parent. That's why my niece is comfortable telling me certain things, but she avoids me because she doesn't like to feel sadness. So she'll avoid me to where she won't talk to me for a while because she's going through something and I can feel it. And this is why also as women, we have to trust our intuition and be in tune with ourselves, because when you're in tune with yourself and you're a woman and you know exactly your intuition and you're in divinity of your womanhood, we are intuitives. So we can feel what our children are going through, mother nature, mother energy, that mothering, that healing energy. So we have to be able to be in tune with ourselves so we can know and feel something's off with my child. Something's off with my child. I need to know. I need to tap in with my child because something's off with them. Regardless if they don't tell you right away. Say for instance, they don't tell you. No, don't give up on them. She won't tell me nothing. Keep on planting that seed. I text my niece almost every single week and tell her, regardless if you want to tell me, I'm always here. I'm always here to, for you to talk to me, whatever you need to talk about, what you're stressing about. We've all been victims of that, to where it's like, oh, you're not depressed. Depressed them dishes. You're not, you don't have any bills to pay. You don't have any this to do. You don't have any kids you got to look after and take care of. You're just a kid. No, these kids are stressed out. These kids is going through depression. You can see it all through these kids nowadays. Actually, it's worse. Actually, you can see it all through these kids. These kids need somebody. So be that person. Be that person that you're their first life alert. You're the first person. When we come out of our mother's wombs, our mom is our first friend. It's our first people that we encounter with. So it's like we push ourselves away from everybody because we're so focused on the outer looks. We're so focused on having a man. We're so focused on, everything else and displaying certain things instead of focus on our home. Focus on your home first. This is why so many people are running rampant with traumas, is because we're not focused on our inner selves. We're not focused on the home. Focus on your home. When you have people that actually, if we was all able to focus on our home and be more in tune with the home space, you would see more healthier people. But that's not what we see. So many children are being neglected. Check on your kids. Talk to them today. Hug on them, okay? Me and my mom never really hugged as much. She wasn't emotional. She never really cried in front of me, and it's like when I left my city a year ago, I finally seen her cry, and it like broke my heart, because I'm like, damn, I never seen my mom cry, because it's like my mom was always strong. I never seen my mom express any emotion, and it's like till this day, like I feel for her, because I'm just like, man, Like, I can only, when you start healing, you're healing the mother wound. You heal your father wound. You start healing certain versions of yourself. So the mother wound in me is like, I see my mom and I'm just like, you just don't know, like, if you would have healed certain versions of yourself, there would have been so much difference within you, you know? And it's like, I don't know. It's just like, I just could never, like, I don't know. It's just, it hits me so much, you know? And that's like kind of how I feel when it came to like my friendships and everything like that. Like, it's just like, when you heal certain things, it's just like you start seeing different versions of people. And it's just like, you're seeing people's hurt more than anything. You're not necessarily seeing their trauma. You're seeing their trauma, not their trauma reactions. You know, so it's like, that's why sometimes I would keep myself away from family, because I'm just like, I know what you feel. And it's like you don't know what you feel, but I know what you feel because I healed from that. And it's like, and it's hard to be around that because you love these people so much, but it hurts you at the same time. And that's the same way I felt with my exes also as well, because I'm like, damn, your mom wasn't there. You know, your mom passed away when you was in high school. So damn, like, you know, I'm like, damn, you never had your dad in your life, you know? So it's just like, man, I understand why you are the way you are, but it's like, but also at the same time, I can't overextend myself because this is hurting me. You know, I got to choose myself. And that's the hardest part of the journey, is choosing yourself, you know, versus, you know, still being there. It's choosing yourself and letting them go. Because this was something that I was thinking about the other day too, because I was just like, you want to celebrate, you want to be happy, you know what I'm saying, you moving forward and everything like that, and then you start to looking back and you see your family, you see your, you know, the people that you love, and it's like, damn. And you got to cut the cord. You got to let it go. And that is the hardest part of the journey. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional, but it's just like, that is the hardest part of the journey, is letting it go. And that's what a lot of us are going through right now, is letting things go. But choose yourself for sure, okay? Choose yourself, because it's still going to be rewarding at the end of the day. You would rather choose yourself than to continue to hurt and hurt and hurt on an everyday basis. But I'm going to get off of here, y'all, because I'm starting to get really emotional. And the rain came last night, and the new moon is coming up. So I know that this is a release that is meant for me to happen. And it was meant for me to talk about this today. Like I said, that 33 that was up there. So it was meant for me to talk about this. It was meant for me to get this trigger of this emotion, because sometimes when you are on a path to where you got to be so strong, it's hard to release. Sometimes it's hard to cry. And sometimes you just need to talk about it. Sometimes you just need to show up. Sometimes you just need to speak yourself. Sometimes you just need to speak your truth so that somebody else can hear and know what you're going through. Thank you. I appreciate it. So, you know, really pour into yourself right now, you know, and trust in divine timing. Spirit's telling me to pick one more. Outrageous openness. It says here, dear love, open me to your will, release me from my attachments. Surprise and delight me with your plan. You know what's needed, and I am open to receive. Some of us feel as if that we're open to love and that we're open to discovery, but sometimes your heart's not really open. You're not really open. You're closed off. And, you know, it takes for you to release, to cry, to open yourself up. I'm closed off, y'all. I be closed off a lot because I don't be wanting to deal with certain things, because I've been through so much in my life. Through so much. And you know, when you've been through so much in your life and you didn't let your heart turn cold, that's the beauty. Because, you know, my heart didn't turn cold with this. I actually decided to come up here and teach. I actually decide to pour my love into people even more. You know, instead of having my heart turn cold and it's like everybody did this to me, so I'm about to be this way. I'm about to, you know, tear some shit up. I'm about to be evil. I'm about to be mad. I'm about to have an attitude every day, and you know, people don't want to be around me, you know, and whatever the case may be, I want to spill out my trauma on everybody else because ain't nobody else treat me right. That's not how I am. I take all my hurt and my pain and I transmute it and I show up for other people because I know I needed that. So it's like, you know, having somebody to be able to just hear that they went through the same thing and everything, to be able to get on social media and see that somebody else went through it, but they came out of it. They told their testimony. Like, that's a beautiful thing. And it's like we all be going through it, but we be hiding that shit. Thank you. One more here for the collective. I don't like to cry on social media, but I'll still cry on social media because, you know, a lot of people, you know, people are evil. I tell you, people are evil. They be like, I can never get up on here and cry on social media. And it's because you're not open. You're not open. You don't express yourself. You don't express your emotions. You know? Like, you know, some people will get up on here and actually come on here and have a whole crying. You rather get up on here and crash out than actually get up on here and express that you need somebody right now because you ain't got nobody. You may be battling suicide at this time. You know, you may be battling mental things. There's times where I was battling suicide and I didn't tell anybody. You know, so it's like you never know who's going through what behind the scenes, who's having mental battles, who's depressed, and who can't take care of their children right now because they're going through so much shit. They need somebody. So quit judging people for having a release, what their body is meant to do. This is natural. I didn't make myself cry. This is natural. It just automatically came because I'm in tune with my emotions. I'm in tune with my feelings. I'm in tune with myself. A lot of people aren't in tune. You can't even cry. That's where the inner power is. That's inner power. When you can be in tune with yourself, when you can be in tune with your emotions, you can control your emotions, you know who you are, that's inner power. That's powerful. People think you crying because you weak. No, that's healthy energy. Exactly. Thank you. That's healthy energy. The more you continue to release, the more you continue to cry that pain out, you stand in a certain light. You stand in your power. You get more powerful. Right now. So if you're feeling this right now, feel it. Allow yourself to release. Allow yourself to let go. Because the time is right now. Detachment, release, it's all here. It's all here. Spirit's showing exactly what it is. I'm a living testimony. I didn't even have any plans to do this. Okay, I didn't even have any plans to get up on here crying and stuff, shoot, or even telling my story. Like I said, there's a reason for everything. You know, when that girl asked, you know, her question earlier today, it was meant to all go this way. It was all orchestrated the way it was supposed to be orchestrated, and I didn't even know. If I would have known, I probably would have even got on here. Because it's like, I don't want to cry in front of people, you know, but it's like spirit will surprise your ass, all right? Surrender on the bottom of the deck. Fall into my arms. It says surrender, okay? Surrender to the flow. When you're not allowing your body to express what it needs to express, you're suppressing instead of surrendering. You're controlling it. Okay, so it's like, you know, when you start feeling yourself needing to cry and it's like, oh shit, I'm about to cry, and then you try to stop yourself and then you stop crying, you already suppressed your body. You suppressed yourself. And now you walking around with so much suppression, so much energy built up, so now you automatically spazzing out on somebody. Now I gotta spaz out because I'm mad. You're not mad. You're sad. You're not mad. You're sad. You're upset. You're disappointed. You feel betrayed. You're sad because these people didn't show up for you the way you showed up for them. That's really truly what it is. There's times where I would come up in here or I'll be mad and I'll crash out and I'm like, damn, I'm not really mad. I'm actually upset. I'm upset that I actually poured into a lot of my makeup clients. You feel me? And I was actually there for them in a way to where on a girl type of deal. And it's like these bitches wasn't even girls with me. They over here sneak dissing me. And I'm like, damn, I try to help this bitch. And it's like, and I would be mad, but it's like really, truly, I'm like, damn, my feelings is kind of hurt for real, for real. We more ashamed to admit that our feelings is hurt than actually saying, you know, oh, I'm mad about something. No, your feelings is hurt. You just don't want to say it. You just don't want to admit it. If you received this message and this message was resonating with you, type in the chat, I allow my emotions. I allow myself to feel. No, type in, I allow myself to feel. I allow myself to feel. That is your affirmation for this week. I allow myself to feel. The core emotion of anger is sadness. Exactly. Anger is a secondary emotion. I say this all the time. Ashe. How many of y'all feel like y'all can't how many of y'all feel like y'all can't necessarily cry as much anymore? Like you can't necessarily feel your emotions? Like you feel like you're numb? Mm-hmm. You go through phases? Yeah, I go through phases also. Spirit wants me to grab my children's deck real quick. Some of you need to know your children are going through something right now. I'm on leave from work because of PTSD from DV. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was like a big, huge situation on like social media on Instagram, like I think like a year ago. And I got hella triggered by it. It was on like the shade room that I seen. And it's like this woman, it was like a football player or something like that. And she was getting like, it was horrible. The videos came out and it was just horrible. And I got so triggered by that shit. Like so triggered. I'm getting there, but I cry all the time. That's why I think mine stem from not knowing how to express the rage in me, but healthy. Yeah. Like there was a point in my time where I cried all the time because I just, emotional, just really in tune with my emotions. It's part of my gift, and to where I ended up suppressing it because, some of the people that I was around was like, oh, those tears is fake. Those tears ain't going to do anything for me and, and blah, blah, blah. So I just would stop crying. So I was like, okay, let me just stop crying or let me try to help myself stop crying because I didn't want to keep being talked to like that. So, and that's where I got to the point to where I suppressed it so much to where I couldn't even cry for a while. I couldn't even cry. And, so I had to get back into opening myself up again. And I had like a really huge release. Sometimes like I'll have like a really big cry, like a really big release. And then there's times where it just be like a little bit of tears, but yeah. Anger is sacred, but intimate those around me because I am very passionate. Exactly. That's how I feel also as well. Because I be very passionate about it also. And it can come off as being like very stern, very strong, very just, aggressive. But it's not aggressive. It's really just like a lot of passion, behind it. My therapist told me yesterday she wants me to start video journaling. That's crazy that you said that, because I seen something across somebody 2 days ago, and she said that she couldn't necessarily express her emotions through journaling, so she started video journaling. And I was like, ooh, I've video recorded, or not necessarily video recorded, but I've like voice recorded to where that was like my journaling, and I started doing that. But you know, iPhone and they all the memory bullshit, you know, oh, you got too much memory, you know, so it's just like I had stopped about that. But video recording, actually, it does help, you know, you kind of see yourself to where you can you can be more emotionally connected. So, you know, yeah, definitely try that. Yeah, it could probably feel weird. It can probably feel weird, but it's like, it's because you're prejudging yourself. You're prejudging yourself when you're doing that video recording. You know, nobody usually likes to hear themselves talk, you know, like, or look at what they, you know, what they sound like, because you start judging yourself. That's why. Just don't judge yourself. What's going on with the kids? What does someone need to know here about their child at this time? What's this message? I'm picking up on a little boy. He may be like in between the ages of 5. His main, I keep hearing like Emilio too. There's a little boy though. They need more intentional quality time. And more intentional quality time is being more present. Instead of, you know, because you know how we can say quality time is sitting next to each other and we both on our phones just kind of scrolling. That's not intentional. You know, we're just in each other's presence, you know, and that's why sometimes you still feel like you're lacking something, because they're not necessarily intentional about it. So, you know, your child they need more intentional time, more quality time. Okay, like more doing puzzles together, games together, or read a book to the child, or, you know, go outside and actually, you know, not watching them play on the playground, but actually push them on the swing, or, you know, do some sort of like, when I go to the park with my nieces and nephews, we play imaginary games. Okay, you know, kids have a bright imagination, and it helps them also build their manifestations in the future when it comes to imagination. So, you know, when you go outside and you go to the park, act like you're the big scary monster. Okay, I'm the green monster, I'm coming to get you, or, you know, I'm the shark. Okay, and you guys are the little fish, and I'm gonna blah blah blah, you know. So it's just, you know, really kind of use your imagination and play the games, you know. Also, when they come over, I like to do, you know, my little Brian, he likes to cook. So, you know, we'll get in the kitchen and we'll do some fake cooking sometimes, to where it's like we run a restaurant business, and, you know, one will be the manager and one will be the server and everything like that, and we'll do like the whole little restaurant thing. So, you know, kids love that. All right, they love that. So, you know, being more intentional with playing with them. Okay. Yes, exactly. They've been too much into them phones, and too much. That's why I said, like, these kids are, you know, getting phones at. My nephew's, what is he, in 2nd grade? He got a cell phone. You know, they be all up on YouTube and everything like that. But one thing that I like about him having a phone though is because, you know, them kids be sending everything when it comes to messages. They'll send all these emojis and, you know, Giphies and everything. So it's like we'll have like a whole little Giphy war. Like I'll send a Giphy to him and he'll send another Giphy, and it's like, to me it's like, it's kind of annoying because he'll send it like so many, and, you know, at one point like, you know, 10 at a time, you know, or something, and it's like, come on now, you know. But it's like, it's a kid, you know, it's like, this is what makes them happy. So it's just like, I just be sending like 10 back, you know, little funny faces and everything. It's just kind of one of those things. Yeah, this quality time will definitely put your child in more good spirits and happy and content. Okay, so more quality time here. 2 two more. A lot of times also when some of you, when you have children, they're meant to be that unconditional love. Sometimes when we have children, they're meant to be the unconditional love that you prayed for. And the whole time you're expecting it to be another person. You're expecting it to be a partner, but your child was sent out of this. Your child was sent for the unconditional love instead of an actual, boyfriend or, whatever the case may be. It's your child. Your child was sent for you to have unconditional love. And some people push it aside because you want a boyfriend so bad, you want a relationship so bad, and you keep pushing that kid aside. And they were meant to come bring you love. They were meant to nourish your inner child. Okay? They were meant to show you what you needed, within yourself. Too many times I've seen too many, and I'm not judging anybody, but, women going from relationship to relationship. And for instance, say this child doesn't have their father in their life. So they're seeing all these different men coming in and out of the home because, the relationship didn't work. But this child is getting comfortable with this man. And now they got to get re-comfortable with this man and re-comfortable with this man. They may like this person because they have a wound of not being able to see their father. Their father's not there. So, it's not just about you all the time. That's why I said you got to get your home together. It's not always about you. You gotta consider your children when you got kids. How's it going? Very creative. Someone's child is very creative. Okay. So do arts and crafts, there's so many things on social media. There's so many things on Pinterest. There's so many things on TikTok. You can just find so many things to be creative, to do with your kids. So do it. Okay. They like to do these things is what I'm picking up on. So, a lot of these kids are very creative. They like to, do certain things, like do different things this year. Okay. One more. Just do some different things. Create your own traditions. Create some sort of new tradition of what you want to do now. This is your time to create your own traditions, and instead of just following just the the tradition of every year Christmas. Like how about you do something every once a month? Okay, two times a month y'all go to have a movie night. You go get some snacks from the dollar store. It ain't gotta be expensive. You go get some snacks from the dollar store. Y'all watch a new movie. Okay, and all be intentional by just sitting there and off the phones. Or for instance, if you eat everywhere else and y'all don't really eat at the table, eat at the table once a month. It ain't gotta be a lot. It's just like, when kids can feel that, they will carry that on in their adult life. My mom made the best of this when we was younger. She used to do this with us every single Sunday. We used to go to the park, and she used to be this and this and this and that. You would want your child to talk about these things when you were younger. Not my childhood was horrible. How many of us can say our childhood was horrible? My mom had this person in and out. She always had different boyfriends. She did this. My dad was never there. My dad never showed up. My dad would tell me that he was going to come and be around, and he was never there for me. I wanted my mom to come to my soccer games, and she never came. But she could have took some time off this one year. She had the what is it called? The leave to do so. But she'll take that leave off to go on a vacation. You'll take that leave off to go be with somebody else. One more. One more for the children. It's a deep message today. Experiences anxiety and depression. Okay, like I said earlier today, some of these children are going through depression and anxiety, not feeling safe around certain family members. Pay attention to that. Family members and friends, they don't feel safe around them. Okay? They may start to acting different. They may say, I don't want to go over there. I don't like the way they treat me, or whatever the case may be. And just because you want to go out and go have some fun, you got to go over there. Maybe something going on over there. Okay? So pay attention. Ask more questions. Talk to your kids more. Be more involved. Be more intentional. But some of them are experiencing anxiety and depression. Okay? And like I said, this is that epigenetics. This is that energy to where if you have a hell of an anxiety, and depression, then your child has it because you passed it on to your child. So, making sure that you are trying to find ways to regulate your child's nervous system. Give them baths. Give them spiritual baths also as well. Okay? Cleanse your home. Take them outside. Get their feet in nature. Take them by the water. Talk to them about their emotions and their feelings. What are you feeling like today? Are you sad? What is it that you want to talk about? Is there anything that you've been wanting to tell, mom or dad? What is it that you want to talk about? Is there something that you want to do? Like, we got to really talk to them nowadays. They want you to talk to them. They want to feel understood also. Just as much as you want to be feeling understood, they want to feel understood also. That helps heal your own inner child when you parent another one. All right, y'all. That was the message. Pretty deep message today. It was needed. One thing I also love about readings, and coming up here and healing is it heals me also. It's not just, me being the leader and everybody, listening to me. No, this also helps me as well. There's things that may come out that I didn't even know that, existed. And it's like, oh, thanks, Spirit. Thanks for being able to show this for somebody else, because this actually helps me also. So it's like I get up here, I'm learning also. Like I take things away from the readings that I'm coming up here to give to the collective for myself also. So it's like, it's not just about just, the audience. It also is about me also. Me being the observer it gives me gems and gives myself keys also as well. Being able to be 33 years old with 0 children, they say, oh, you never had any kids, so you can't speak on being a mom. No, actually I can, because I've actually been a mother to other children, so it's like, and not only that, I've observed, when you got that's why I'm saying, like, don't rush yourself as a 33-year-old. You're how do I say it? Not old, because I don't want to say old, young, 33 young old, or I can't say it, whatever it is. Okay. 33 years on this earth. Okay. I don't have any children. And, right now, but being able to experience and seeing my sister have a child, in high school and young, and my cousins also as well, and being able to just observe my friends around me. I've had a lot of introspection, a lot of times to where I can just observe everything and see what's going on within people's houses and how they're doing things and how they're, just training up their children and everything like that. And I can see in between the lines. So it's like, don't rush yourself. I'm talking to the younger crowd right now. Don't rush yourself into getting into a relationship. Don't rush yourself into wanting to have a child. They tell us, oh, 30 years old is too old to have a kid. No, it's not. I'm feeling way better than I've ever felt before. Okay. And I'm continuously to where I'm going to work on my body more so that I'm ready to be a mom. So that when my child comes here, I'm not old and crippled, you know what I'm saying? And, oh, I can't even run and catch up with my kid. No, baby, I'm in the gym. I'm taking ginger shots, okay? Ashwagandha to help my stress levels, all that type of stuff. I'm preparing myself to be a mother. This is what we need to start doing nowadays, is preparing ourselves to be a mother instead of, and sometimes it doesn't happen that way. But it's a choice also. You can make that choice, but sometimes it's not meant for certain people because it's in your chart also. Some people are meant to have children at a young age. But when you have that child at a young age, just make more better choices, healthier choices for yourself and for your home. Okay? Because like I said, it's not always, sometimes we don't, it don't get played out that way. But, don't always be in a rush to, get in a relationship with somebody or need to have a child, because you feel like you're on a time clock. Okay. But yeah, All right, y'all. Much love. $10 off of the readings. All right, for the month of October. Check that out. Or just if you want a reading, a personal reading in general. Link is in the bio. I might be back on here later on today. I called you out specifically on that last part. Hey, we all need a little call out every once in a while. Shoot, I be calling myself out, so it don't matter, you know. Sometimes we just need somebody to call us out and tell us the truth because other people around us won't tell us, you know. So it's just constructive criticism, you know. Take it and just, you know, course correct whatever it is that just need to be corrected. And not judging yourself for not knowing or whatever the case may be, or you knew but you just kind of wasn't necessarily putting in the action towards it. So, you know, sometimes that just happens, you know. It's the world we live in. You're welcome. All right, that was heavy. Spirit's directed me to do a little small cleanse here, especially before the new moon. The new moon is on Tuesday. So, you know, some of you may need to purge some emotions before you get some new things that you want to bring in and new manifestations. Some of you have let go of a lot of things and you're holding on to anger versus holding or releasing certain things. And you just kind of need a little bit of a push. You're 33 also? That just means you just need to tend a little bit to yourself also as well. All right, so if you want to allow this cleanse, okay, go ahead and take some time to sit with yourself, some deep breaths here, okay? Get some point of relaxation. If you're driving, do not do this, okay? If you're driving, do not do this. I repeat, if you're driving, do not do this, okay? But if you are allowing and you want this cleanse here to help, you know, penetrate a little bit of your heart chakra energy here, we'll go ahead and get that started. So take some time. Take some deep breaths here. Close your eyes. Let everything melt away. Let the past melt away. Let the anxiety of the future melt away. Relax your toes, relax your fingers. Unclench your jaw, let it just kind of just fall. Let everything just feel like it's melting. Roll your neck a little bit. Roll your shoulders. If you feel any stiffness in your body anywhere, let it relax. Just let it all kind of just melt. And Spirit will tell me when it's ready. Keep your eyes closed and let things to relax and melt. I'll be right back. I'm going to go grab my selenite. They're telling me. All right. Gratitude, most divine angels, ancestors, spirit guides, my highest light for assisting me in this cleanse and purification for those that are willing to accept it and needing it at this time. That extra level of push to open up their heart space, to allow them to purge any emotions, any stagnant energy, any anger, any suppression that they have been pressing over the time of their life. Ashe. From childhood all the way up to adulthood. Allow them to open their heart at this time to receive this cleanse. Close your eyes. Close your eyes, turn your phone up, put your phone down, and just listen. And just feel. And just relax. A little bit of a mindful moment at this time is needed. Everything has just been on a spin. It's been going just so fast, and it's just you haven't had the time to really just sit there and just relax and allow yourself to just feel what you're feeling right now. Be in the present moment. Repeat to yourself that you let go of any worries you let go of any worries from the past. And then after you repeat that, repeat to yourself, I let go of any worries in the future. Tell yourself, I am present right now. I receive right now. I allow right now. Gratitude divine for assisting me in this cleanse. For those that are needing it at this time, help it penetrate their hearts at this time, their heart space, to be able to open up this space of achievement, success, love, passion, peace. Someone just wants peace. Gratitude, most divine angels, for guiding me with the light that is within me, Ashe, the light only that is within me, the healed version of me, to assist in this cleansing, Ashe. Someone's missing their mom. Some of you may feel a sensation within your shoulder space, like kind of your back. Okay? I feel like this is your spirit guide. They're assisting here. They're rubbing your back. Your back may be a little bit stiff, but they're rubbing your back here because they're showing me. And I'm seeing someone kind of tapping, laying their hand on someone's shoulder. Purify, Ashe. It's okay, you're safe here. They want me to let you know that you're safe to express yourself. You're safe to go ahead and allow those emotions to fall. Gratitude, Spirit. Whoever that is, I feel you. It's okay. It's been heavy, I know. Gratitude, Spirit. To those that are accepting the cleanse at this time, keep your eyes closed. See me come up to you and give you a hug. You are loved, you are safe, you are protected. I'm sending you so much love right now, so much energetic hugs, encouragement, strength and power, peace. Let it go and release. Gratitude, Spirit. Whoever this is that I'm feeling, I know you're tired. Because I'm hearing you say, I'm tired. See me come up to you and give you another big hug. Cover whoever this is that I'm feeling. They feel really alone at this time. Show them exactly how good it can get. Show them exactly how you can show up for them just as you showed up for me. They needed this today. Gratitude. There's a particular bird that you're going to see today. And you're going to get a particular angel number.
Is real. That's why you need Zevo Trap.
Picking up on
Zevo
222.
works 24/7 to lure, catch, and kill 99.9% of bugs trapped for effortless.
All right, y'all.
People friendly, bug deadly.
Allow yourself to come back from this cleanse.
Of McCormick is flavor sealed.
Take the time that you need.
Try gummy vitamins from Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist recommended vitamin and supplement brand.
Gratitude, Spirit.
Understand the visual performance of the 2026 Acura Integra. All you need to do is touch it. Once you do that, you'll get it.
That feels good. Spirit wants you to get up and dance. All right. Just let all that energy go. Whoever it is that just felt all of that, get up and dance because you have something to celebrate now. Okay. You're celebrating life. You are releasing and letting things go and going with the flow. Okay. So turn that music on. Clean up your house. All right. And dance. All right. So you can go ahead and allow that to go ahead and to clear its way out. You don't want to stay in that sadness. All right. You don't want to stay in that sadness. You want to get up and get the energy flowing and the energy going. Allow yourself to have the emotions. Allow yourself to go ahead and go through the process of releasing, but get back up and dance. Get back up and enjoy. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. This is burning fast, so that's how I know there's some energy that's burning off here. All right. So you may feel this through this weekend. Ashe. You may feel this through this weekend, okay? And just allow it to go ahead and cleanse through. Allow it to purge, okay? Allow yourself to go ahead and allow that self to cry. Because someone in here is, you've been feeling, this has been very heavy and you've been tired and you've been trying to be very strong. And, it's been hard for you to kind of really allow yourself to release. And, so this is just an energetic push, to help kickstart that energy, to help open up your heart space. All right. So that you don't feel so angry, and I'm picking up on someone who's avoiding a lot of people also. You're avoiding because you're disappointed, because the people around you aren't necessarily seeing you how you want to be seen, and you want to be seen, and I see you, okay? And Spirit sees you. So just pour into yourself right now. Thank you for the roses, y'all. All right, y'all, my phone's about to die. This was a very sacred day today on this Saturday. This was a very sacred message. And like I said, we're moving back into that sacredness of spirituality, and embracing that within yourself, okay? Sovereignty, really. You're welcome, Albert. You're welcome, Shell. You're welcome, Joanna. You're welcome, y'all. So welcome to the fam if you're over here, okay? And whoever just followed me, thank you. But yeah, so get up and dance, all right? Turn your favorite music on. All right. Hips, our body holds energy. All right. So, get up and, our hips hold most of the trauma in the hip area. You know, so if you've been kind of feeling a little bit of pressure, like more kind of in your back, lower back area, like your hips kind of feeling a little bit pressure and tightness, it's holding on to trauma. So this is energy that you need to release. Okay. So, you know, get up, move your hips, dance, do a little bit of rengue, whatever it is. Okay. But really dance it out. This dancing is also going to, this sacred movement is going to help you release. So if you didn't really get any cries out just with this cleanse, it opened, it penetrated a little bit. You're just still a little bit closed off. Okay. So it takes a while for it to penetrate and for it to kind of, you know, plant that seed, but I already planted it. Okay. So, you know, open yourself up, get up, dance, because this will help you release. And Spirit's telling me the nighttime. Okay. So, you know, you can dance right now, but maybe dance also later on tonight. Turn off the lights. If you have like some sort of like small lighting, but turn off the lights, get it dark in there. Okay. Like set the ambiance, light a candle. Okay. Set the ambiance, turn off the light, turn on some music, and just kind of flow, you know, just kind of get that energy moving and everything. Okay. And just really just move your whole body. Don't judge yourself. Just do it. Just wherever your body flows you to move, just kind of move with the movements. Okay. And this is going to bring up that's that Kundalini energy. Okay. The Kundalini energy is rising right now. Okay. So that's why you may have a lot of energy that's kind of sitting at the base of the spine. All right. Because it needs to be moved around. It needs to come up. Okay. And come back down here so it can flow within your body. So, you know, move that energy. All right. So that you can get it moved and you'll feel it. You'll start feeling the purging. Okay. Whether it's today or tomorrow, but it's randomly, you're going to get hit with some crying, and allow it. Okay. Don't hold yourself back from crying. All right. Allow it. Okay. But yeah. All right, y'all. I'm gonna get off of here. Okay. I think I'm about to go outside so I can go replenish myself. But yeah, and get by some water. All right. Some of you may need to take a shower right now. Okay. And allow yourself to finish crying or whatever it is that you need to do in regards to your emotions. Sit in the bathtub, you know, but water helps purge out that emotions also as well. So yeah, get close to the water. All right. Peace and love, y'all. I appreciate the love that you guys reciprocated back. Much love. Welcome to the fam if you're new here. All right. That's where you're feeling the pain. Yeah. Get up and dance. All right. Move your body. All right. Because it's telling you that it needs to be, the energy that's holding there needs to move. Okay. So get up and dance. All right. You're welcome. All right. Bye, y'all. Peace and love.